I like this. I mean, talk about things that are not going to get disrupted by AI. People wanted to go someplace and like play games and drink alcohol. Like these real life experiential things there's a lot of positive tailwinds behind them right now.
The replacement cost of this thing, they had to spend millions of dollars building this out, putting all the arcade.
It's still just unbelievable to me how little revenue for how big this thing is.
Episode Acquisitions Anonymous.
Hello, another episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.
We don't have 100% beard anymore.
I'm thumbs downing on just the plus inventory line.
Hey, Michael here. Welcome to Acquisitions Anonymous. Today's episode was super fun. We did a family fun center here in San Antonio. It is my birthday tomorrow. We did not talk about that, but we did talk about how I could use some fun on my birthday, and this family fun center was part of it. And you can see if we liked it or hated it. And here's the episode. Thanks for being here.
Are you ready to take the leap into business ownership, but you don't know where to start? Well, look no further than Acquisition Lab, the premier resource for entrepreneurs seeking to buy their dream business. Founded by Harvard MBA and acquisition expert Walker Deibel, the lab is your fast track to success in the search, diligence, and acquisition process. With hands-on support, world-class resources, and a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, Acquisition Lab gives you the tools and confidence to navigate every step of the journey. And we're proud to call Walker and Chelsea, the lab's director, longtime friends of the podcast. They're passionate about helping entrepreneurs like you take the next big step. So don't wait to make your business ownership dream a reality. Visit acquisitionlab.com today to learn more and schedule your free consultation. And when you do, be sure to tell them the Acquisitions Anonymous podcast sent you.
Gentlemen, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Woo!
January 3rd.
We made it.
I apologize for being on AirPods today, but I went upstairs to my office and discovered we have a teenager guest sleeping over. And so this kind of stuff happens when you have college kids, like random people just show up at your house and start sleeping and eating your food. That's what's going on today.
That's awesome.
Well, Michael, it is January 3rd, which means you have just come through one of the two most harrowing times for fireworks distribution. And I also know that Seth was running his own fireworks stand this year. Tell us how it went.
It is always a great season in San Antonio. I think consumer discretionary is definitely hurting. I could see that watching people. But, San Antonio loves New Year's. I don't know did you guys watch any of the videos? Have you seen those?
No. Is it because you give every resident a pair of free fireworks to shoot off? Is that why?
It is the thing to do. It is the thing to do because the weather here is so nice. And it's become over the past 5 years, 10 years, everybody goes out, buys backyard fireworks, has just beautiful family time in their front yard. And at midnight, the place is just incredible. So I encourage anybody, there's a number of cities around the world where this happens. Honolulu is one, but San Antonio probably does it the best. Just go Google New Year's Eve fireworks videos on TikTok and other stuff. It'll blow your mind. It is the thing to do.
So you're saying San Antonio is like a top 3 New Year's Eve city?
If you like that kind of stuff. I mean, I think for sure.
You got to toe the line here.
Yeah.
It's like Bill can't talk about pet related deals, pet products deals.
Michael doesn't want to endorse New Year's fireworks too strongly here.
It's a weird deal, right? Because the way the rules are written in Texas is you're not supposed to shoot fireworks inside the city limits. And we encourage people to follow the rules. But people don't follow the rules, and they all don't follow the rules on the same night. And it's one of those weird things where you're it's the same thing. If you own a bar, you're like, hey guys, don't drink and drive, don't do crazy stuff. And people still do them anyway. So, it makes it hard. It's one of those entrepreneurial rock and a hard place things, if it makes sense.
And everyone in San Antonio is like, you can't arrest us all at the same time. Let's go.
Bunch of rebels down in Texas.
It's pretty much exactly that, right? So,
speaking of San Antonio,
yes, we have a San Antonio deal today.
What a segue.
Speaking of fun in San Antonio, I brought you guys a deal, and this was an interesting one because I was looking at deals, and as one does for relaxation, and there's a bunch of these types of businesses that I'm going to show you. This one suddenly on the market. Huh. And it makes me wonder if there's something interesting for us to figure out as a trend here happening. So let me read you this one, and then I'd love to see what you guys think.
All right, let's hear it.
So it It is a San Antonio family entertainment center with bowling, bar, and trampolines located in San Antonio. And it has a picture here. It's on Biz Buy Sell. Basically, it has a bar and grill, kind of TVs, and then
Whoa.
a lot of the stuff you would just imagine in one of these places. It has like a ropes course and arcade games and laser tag and like a holodeck type thing. And then
Is
some
this
bowling
thing a
alleys.
million square feet? Like the real estate for this has to be massive. They have a ninja course, virtual reality, arcade, bowling, bar, trampolines. Like they literally, and it's a restaurant.
I'm pretty sure this is a franchise called Andretti's located
Okay.
here, which is like Mario Andretti's
Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Their rent is almost $34,000 a month, is what this says.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, just crazy.
That's a
Okay,
big
so
space.
let me
Yeah.
read about this and then we'll go. So asking price is $4.1 million, not applicable in terms of cash flow. Gross revenue is $4 million. Inventory is $40,000 and EBITDA is $870,000 and rent is $33,916 a month. Furniture, fixtures, and equipment is not applicable and it was established in 2018. Business description, it's a ninja course with a virtual reality, arcade, and more. And it's a full family entertainment center for sale. Join the explosive growth in the family entertainment industry, and it's an established franchise with over 10 years of experience and a leader in the industry. The center features multiple state-of-the-art attractions that appeal to all ages, including bowling, laser tag, arcade, ninja course, trampolines, ropes course, and more. Other guest amenities include a pizza restaurant and a full bar, creating additional revenue streams. Highly defensible site and a busy shopping area with national co-tenants. Our successful operating model focuses on guest experience while keeping operating costs low. World-class franchise support, including an in-house marketing team to plan and execute your individualized marketing playbook, business support to keep you operating efficiently as possible, and the new owner should have experience managing people and P&L management experience. It has 40 employees. The lease expires in 2031, and it has all updated state-of-the-art attractions, including bowling, VR, ninja course, trampolines, dodgeball, and basketball courts, 35-piece arcade with redemption area, and more. Kitchen with all appliances, fully built-out bar, and comfortable seating area for guests, private party areas for birthday parties and large group events. National competitors are in the market, but this location will outposition many of them. Full family attractions to set you apart from the competition. And then they talk about why they want to get out of it. And basically, it's an established franchise, and they want to divest themselves from the business. And they actually give the exact address of
That's what I was
the
just looking at.
business here.
Which I'm glad
so-
they do, because that matters, right? This is a little bit of a location-dependent business.
So this is not Andretti's then. And I know we're trying not to do the thing where we don't out the.
Well, they put their
name of the
address
business.
on
They
here,
put their
man. I
address,
mean, this
yeah.
is
But if they tell us what it is, I guess we can look at it. So yeah. Well, here, let me just zoom in on Google Maps and it'll tell us
we'll
what
just
it is.
go ahead and do the street view.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it doesn't work.
All right. Well, let's
Street
talk
view
about
is-
this deal, and I'll keep looking on. I'll keep looking.
Just
on
type
Google
that
Maps
address
and-
into real Google and it will come up.
That's what I did. It keeps giving me that spot. It's interesting.
Weird. Okay. This is a children's wonderland, right?
I think it's adult. It's an adult wonderland, really.
It is? Is this so? That's the first question. Is this for kids or is this for adults or is it for the whole family?
I think it's family. But I think it's one of those places. It's so funny. Before we hit record, I was just telling Bill, we just got back from Great Wolf Lodge in right outside of north of Charlotte in Concord. And I think if you're doing this right, you find ways to entertain everybody. So all the pictures make me think like they're showing live sports, here. They have a full service bar. I'm guessing, I don't know, there's no pictures of the ninja course, but that could appeal depending on like the scale of it. That could be kids only or kids and adults. But bowling, I mean, I'm thinking this is all family.
That's what they claim in the listing. Family entertainment.
I like this. I mean, talk about things that are not going to get disrupted by AI. Brent always says that he likes pool companies because people are always going to be dipping their bodies in water for relaxation.
Yeah.
That's not going anywhere. People wanted to go someplace and like play games and drink alcohol. Is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like these real life experiential things there's there's a lot of positive tailwinds behind them right now. Do you know this place, Michael? Do you have a sense for like? Are you a regular? Do you have a membership?
Yeah. Do you have the frequent flyer card? Have you been accruing points?
I think I found it. It's this Main Event San Antonio Entertainment, which is right here on this west side of town.
Oh, it looks
that's
sweet.
kind of more of what I'm imagining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Ninja
I think
course
this
has
is
got to
it.
be it. With
It's
an arcade.
huge. So it's like a giant warehouse. They've got bowling. They've got this high ropes course, like erector set inside.
Over,
which is
and
pretty
what's
wild.
cool is it's over the arcade.
Yeah.
The ninja course is on top of the arcade.
Yeah,
This
they
is
don't-
pretty sweet. I like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I mean,
Here's
the
the bowling
replacement cost of this thing, they had to spend millions of dollars building this out, putting all the arcade. I mean, there's
Maybe.
pizza.
So maybe, right? Yeah, they had to build the high ropes course. They had to build a bowling alley, and they had to do a bar and kitchen build out, right? The ropes course, though, looks like just basically some riveted together steel. Like it doesn't look that intense. And all the arcade games could be leased. I mean,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
true.
Like there might not be as much capex in this as you think, and it looks like the location is sort of on a highway. So their rent now, looking at how big this is, their rent being $33,000 a month, I would say only $33,000 a
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
I think it's kind of crazy to me is relatively how little revenue they do.
That's a good point. Yeah, only 4 million in revenue.
I mean, to put that in perspective, like your typical like coffee shop for a Starbucks will do, could do 2 million a year for a little tiny Starbucks. And this is relatively low. And
How
there's
many
sit-down
fireworks
restaurants.
stands would it take to get to 4 million in revenue?
Uh,
Are those closely held secrets?
I mean, if your average head spends $100, that's 40,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Is 100 people a day, is 150 people a day, kind of constant. That does seem a little light. That being said, on 4 million in sales, they're doing what, $850,000 of EBITDA? So it's 20% margins.
I looked at this car wash like maybe 12, 13 years ago, and I knew the seller, and I was doing some work for him, and I just offhandedly was like, just out of curiosity, how many cars do you do a day? And it was like, I asked him what color underwear he was wearing. He was like, we don't talk about throughput. Those are closely held secrets for our industry. Like, he did not want word getting out how many cars. I'm like, somebody could sit across the street and count how many cars go through. It's not that big of a secret, but.
So the lease is up in 6 years.
Which I was imagining like an impending cliff, until you got to that point. Like the lease expires next year, and then they're just trying to stick the buyer with the renewal negotiation. But maybe if they've had declining top line, then they're trying to get out of the lease liability.
Maybe. I love that the reason for selling is we are divesting the business. That's like saying, why are you selling? And you say, we're selling.
We're getting rid of it. Why are you selling? To get rid of it.
This is interesting. So the business was established in 2018, but the lease expires in 2031. I think this is the first time in life I've ever seen a 13-year lease.
Well, it could have been like an 8-year with a 5-year option or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of this lease, the landlord is going to have some room to increase you, but it's not like this is in downtown San Antonio where they're going to have tons of people. I mean, this business can probably pay the most rent in this warehouse spot than anything else you would put in it. Anything else is going to be warehouse.
Yeah.
So if I'm the landlord, I'd get ahead of it if I was the tenant here, but I would think you could probably work out an extension.
I think the biggest criteria on this is who can run this business, who can actually run it in terms of, buyer business fit. This is not everybody's cup of tea. This is nights, weekends, lots of employee turnover. I'm thinking for something this big, I'm surprised there's only 40 employees. I think the average Chick-fil-A has over 200 employees, which they're more transient. They're probably high school, college age kids. But I'm just thinking that's the biggest question to me. This is, Michael, you wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole based on conversations we've had over the last 350 episodes.
Yeah, I'm confused by this. I think I'm with you. I understand how they have a restaurant, a ropes course, a bowling alley, and a bar and grill in here, and they only have 40 employees and they're open every day of the year. Like, how does that work, right? The restaurant by itself should have 40 employees and people working there. These types of things, like maybe talk about the trend of these things. At least here in San Antonio, it seems like there is one of these family entertainment centers like popping up all the time. We used to have just a couple, and like there are dozens of trampoline parks, dozens of these family entertainment centers. Like is this getting overbuilt given the number of the opportunity here?
I don't know. I mean, I think you probably want to figure out like per capita, what are these average? There's a math formula here that per capita supports however many. Like these are not like a fad. I mean, I used to go to a place like this when I was a kid, 30 plus years ago. So like these have been around. I'm sure like there is some ongoing CapEx because you need like the latest arcade machines, or like I'm sure there wasn't a VR place here in 1985, but like so there's a little bit of CapEx to keep it current. I also think though there are kind of arcade companies that you can lease these machines from, and you probably just switch them out. So it's probably not, you got to pay attention to it, but it's probably not huge CapEx to stay current. Occasionally you got to refresh the fun stuff, the ropes course and whatnot. But honestly, like I don't think this is a heavy CapEx business once it's in place.
Well, so interesting. We have a listener who I've talked to. He came through Columbia, and I met up with him for lunch, who does consulting for trampoline parks, like selling them equipment, helping them install equipment and stuff like that. And I think, at least from what he said, the phase of the cycle that they're in is mainly now like revenue optimization, Like there's been a big boom, and people grabbed the land or the market share in all these different markets. And now it's about, okay, how do we, consolidate the assets from the ones that failed or repurpose them? And then for the ones that are still operating, hey, you need to get like this new thing. Maybe it's like the ninja course above the arcade, or there's now like a virtual reality thing that, we're telling everybody to put in, or like a foam pit or whatever, whatever the different kind of things are. And there's at least like consultants in the industry who are salespeople, but they're consultative, who are helping the owner operators figure out like where the market is moving in this.
Yeah, it's going to be about dollars of revenue per square foot.
Yeah.
Right. Have you guys been, speaking of that, have you been at a Chuck E. Cheese lately?
No.
So I had
probably not in 30 years.
Exactly. Me either. And I kind of remember Chuck E. Cheese as, sort of like this, like a mix of things to do, some of them physical. I took my son to a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. It is the most ADD, schizophrenia-inducing, flashing light arcade situation I have ever been in. Chuck E. Cheese is an arcade. It's like they've taken out all of the bowling, everything that is not video games is gone from Chuck E. Cheese. And what that tells me is that is the maximum revenue driver, is the video game. It's not unlike casinos, right, where the slots drive the most revenue. You can just look at the floor space dedicated to things in casinos and you can see what drives the most revenue. And like table games are over there in the corner, and there's all these slots with flashing lights. And I feel like I was just standing in Chuck E. Cheese going, whoa, this is like grooming kids to go play slot machines later in life.
It is interesting how almost everything here is crazy high gross margin, right? I was just looking at this ropes course, and like they charge you $15 to do the ropes course, or here's this Hollow Gate like VR experience where you're shooting aliens in VR. Yeah. And it's like, we'll charge you $20 to do it. And the marginal cost on that, to your point, Bill, is like zero, like just super easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely like you put the CapEx in the ground, and then you try to optimize the dollars you get out of it.
It's interesting that there's two in San Antonio. We're looking at Main Event San Antonio West, and there's also one to the north.
Oh, well, we mentioned this is franchised, so that's probably a different franchisee. Yeah, I would think. So now I have questions about protected territory.
What if it's the same franchisee and they want to sell this one?
That would be really bad.
Interesting.
That would be really bad. But either way, I've got questions, right? Because maybe what if that new one just opened last year?
Yeah.
And that's why this guy wants to sell this one, because he sees he's going to split the market with these other guys.
So the other main event is here. I think I'm sharing the right tab here. Is here on the north side of San Antonio. So San Antonio's like demographics are very interesting. Like a lot of it is the byproduct of redlining from nearly 100 years ago. Are you guys familiar with redlining?
Not really.
Okay, so redlining was basically a way to post segregation and before segregation to use kind of economic divide to create segregated communities. So basically what they did, and it still echoes in the poverty of San Antonio today, was carve out kind of if you think about San Antonio as kind of like a big circle, the top pizza pie piece in the middle is affluent and mainly white, right? And then they intentionally started to push African Americans to the east side of town, and then the rest of the town was Hispanic. And so that shows up today where the airport is in the north central and the medical center is in the north central, and the affluent people tend to live in the north central part of San Antonio. So that ties back to this where these two main events are. One is on the west side of San Antonio, which is definitely like a working class, middle class kind of area, and then the wealthy folks and upper income folks are here with this other main event at 281 and 1604, kind of on the north side of town.
So this one is in the affluent area or the not affluent area?
Not affluent area. If it's this main event, this right here is definitely working class area.
Okay.
So
Is it up and coming? Like what is the demographic trend of this area? Stagnant or growing?
This part right here is pretty static. The fastest growing part of San Antonio is this way out to the west.
Okay. So this is between the fastest growing part and the center of downtown.
I would say that's accurate. Yeah. This right here where my cursor is, the west side of San Antonio, is like the roughest part of San Antonio.
Okay. So this is iffy. It's near the rough part, and the fast growing part.
If you had to pick disposable income, either the north side or where this is, I would choose the north side one. There's a big question for me as to whether you could get people from out here, this kind of west side area, where there is growth of money and that sort of thing pushing out into the sprawl as the city grows to the west really quickly.
One thing that's kind of interesting, Dave & Buster's acquired Main Event in 2022 for $850 something million. Main Event has 58 locations now. Dave & Buster's has like 150.
Okay. And Dave & Buster's is similar to this. I would think maybe a little bit more video game oriented, but same idea.
Yeah. But it looks like this originated in Texas. So most of the density of their locations, they've got like, I don't know, probably 20 to 25 in Texas. Bill, there's one in Greenville.
Okay. So do we like this business? I mean, is this a good business or no?
I don't know. This feels really hard to operate to me. And I mean, a lot of moving parts for $4 million in revenue.
Do you think, so what my first question would be is $4 million fully optimized? Like I would want to understand, like this is a franchisee, right? So there are lots of other, assuming this is Main Event, there's lots of other main events. There's like a benchmark, for how much revenue you should be doing. I wonder if this isn't like fully mature yet. I mean, it has been 6 years, but like I'm trying to do, like it's fixed costs. You got to get more people in the door and you got to sell more drinks. I'm trying to do like, events for Spurs games, events for NFL on Sunday. Like I'm trying to get more people in the door to get more yield on my fixed costs. And I don't know if 4 million is good or bad for this business, because if you go to 5 million, that's going to drop straight through to EBITDA. I mean, there's
enormous,
right? Enormous, right? You grow revenue by $1 million, you grow revenue 25%, you've doubled EBITDA. So to me, I think that's what you got to understand. Is there any potential for growth here, or is this just, it is what it is?
And thankfully, because it's a franchise, we don't really have the bandwidth to do it during this recording, but in due diligence, you could very easily get the FDD certification for Main Event and see what's the dispersion of their revenue and profitability across whatever sample size they're reporting, And what's their guidance? What should it be? If they say, hey, average revenue per location is $8 million, then that tells you a lot about what you're buying here.
Now, do you think so, Mills? Let's say you figured out that the average revenue for a main event was $8 million and this one's doing $4 million. Does that excite you or scare you?
The thing that scares me with multi-unit is like, why isn't the other operator? There's so many operators in Texas, or maybe there's one and they control all of them, but why in the world haven't they bought it? Like, why would I be the lucky one that gets to see this all the way in South Carolina? All the people who probably met them at the industry association, or at the franchisee meeting, they've already been like, we wouldn't buy that thing. That's what scares me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the natural buyer for this is the guy that owns the other one in town, because they can share staff and logistics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's scary also that they don't list cash flow, but they do list EBITDA. It's like, okay, well, like, let's talk about how big the I, the T, the D, and the A are.
The interest payments are 400,000, or something.
Well, back to I forgot which one of you said it, but it's like, oh, this is a lot of equipment. And I bet they, so if they do, have a lot of initial investment in the equipment, potentially they have a tax shield from the depreciation, which is good. But on the other side, it's like, oh, how big are those that the free cash from this thing is really not that substantial?
Well, you're going to get, if you buy this, you're going to get to reamortize all the goodwill anyway, right? You're going to try to put as much as possible in the equipment because it's going to depreciate faster. But you are going to get a big tax shield from buying this. You
if
also
you do an
might
asset purchase.
Yeah, if you do an asset purchase, which you definitely should. I mean, who knows how many, for a small business like this, I don't think there's any reason you should do a stock purchase at all.
Yeah.
Unless you have to inherit the franchise agreement. But on the other hand, I would think they would make you sign a new franchise agreement anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that case, you need to look at what the lease says, right? If you're doing an asset purchase, the landlord would have to agree to a transfer. So hopefully whatever lawyer they use to put together this lease would make selling the business relatively easy. Though sometimes it always comes back on a lot of these big franchises. I think it's our buddy Chris Powers says the landlord always seems to win in these deals. Like, it's the landlord. There's one group definitely getting rich out of this whole thing, and it's the landlord who's getting $34,000 a month no matter what from having this tenant.
All right. Yeah. So what if you're the buyer and you look at this and this seller has personally guaranteed the lease, and the landlord says, no problem, I'll assign the lease, and you have to personally guarantee it, which is more than likely the case.
I don't know. You're also probably personally guaranteeing the SBA loan, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, in principle.
It's still just unbelievable to me how little revenue for how big this thing is. It's just crazy. There's sit down restaurants that do more than this, in terms of revenue. It's kind of mind blowing that they have a sit down restaurant and all this other stuff, and this is all the revenue they're doing.
So maybe you do find out they're not doing any marketing or they're not billing. I mean, but you can't have your revenue model be totally whacked because this is a franchise. So they're kind of telling you how to run it.
I mean, the other thing that's scary about this, like, I just Googled family entertainment San Antonio and zoomed around what we think. I think we're still not 100% convinced it's this location, main event San Antonio. But, like, there's 14 other things just within a couple miles of this particular location that came up. This Aquatica theme park. Well, this is SeaWorld here. But K1 Speed, this arcade, Fun Zone, just all over the place.
I think we're on to something with this, because with some Googling, it lists main events total revenue across the franchise was just under $500 million with 50 locations. So just straight average, you're at close to $10 million per location. And let's just say there's some, outliers there. So maybe the average revenue is $7.5 million per location. I think that this could be, an underperforming franchise unit.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely smells like this. I talked about the demographics of San Antonio and where the money is. This is the furthest south kind of full service family entertainment place in San Antonio. All the rest of them are up over here, kind of in this more affluent area of San Antonio. So it may come down to location, and this, is not a good location.
I'd also be, I mean, let's talk about what would make this a good deal. It is possible that the franchisor is pissed and wants this current franchisee out and has teeth in their franchise agreement that might facilitate you buying it for a very good price.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure I'm paying $4 million for this thing, but like, I don't know, at $2 million, is this a good deal? A lot of times the franchisor, they don't have a whole bunch of capital in it. They just want to see the revenue get up and the royalties get up.
Yeah.
So they don't care if you get it for $1 and the other guy gets completely creamed as long as you grow it.
So, Mills, did I hear you right? This is an underperforming location based on chain averages?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I mean, not perfect data. I didn't get the FDD, but just from looking at some of their public filings prior to the Dave & Buster's acquisition, yeah, it looks like that they're not even close.
Yeah. This may be a turnaround situation then. That may be why none of the other franchisees want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, Bill.
Yep, could be.
And if they're asking 1 times revenue, it's kind of interesting arbitrage when you look at the franchisee versus the franchisor. The franchisor sold for like 2 times revenue.
All right.
I'm
Anything else?
down on this.
Well, that was depressing.
That was depressing. It sounds like I would like to go there though. It sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a good place to go take your family and spend $250.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to spend $250 like that, if everybody spends $250, that means they're bringing like 20,000 people a year through this thing, which probably means it feels like a ghost town. They got to find a way to get people through the door.
That side of town, I don't know if people are spending $250.
I just am even thinking like if this were in Columbia, South Carolina, and it were the right price, and there were no like major skeletons in the closet, I still don't think I would do it. Like I can't imagine
there's too many screaming children and drunk adults and like nights and weekends.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's funny you guys love the frickin' cheese factory from last episode and you hate this.
Yeah.
You can make cheese between 9 and 5, Michael.
We're like Wisconsin, here we come. That guy never responded to my email. He might have heard the episode.
I may have just been tired at the end of a long year, but I still reflect on like how just shocked I was that Mills was like, I'm going to ask about this cheese factory. I want to own a cheese factory.
I was like, WTF?
It's like, you want to do what?
Look at Mills. Mills is a guy who loves cheese. I mean,
I'm just still, quick update. The guy has still not emailed me back, which is, maybe indicative of what people face when they're trying to find a business to buy.
Maybe it's already sold.
Could be.
Every searcher I know is number 1, HVAC, number 2, cheese factory. They're all going for those.
There you go. Manufacturing, Michael. Manufacturing.
We're reindustrializing.
That's right.
America.
A traditional American manufacturing industry.
One cow at a time.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this one up. If you guys like this one, we actually have other franchise deals. We've done a couple ones recently. Go on our website, acquanon.com, and you can hear all the franchise deals we've ever done. I think we also did another Family Fun Center 100 or 200 episodes ago as well. So, yeah, we're occasionally we got to do one again. We've evolved. You, listener, have evolved. Sometimes they're different. So thanks for listening this week, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.